We sift through the noise to bring you the really essential stuff. Today, we're tackling a number that's, well, it's genuinely mind-boggling. Cristiano Ronaldo's annual contract.
200 million euros per year.
Exactly, 200 billion euros. And our mission today is to try and get a real sense of scale for that. Compare it to, economies, societies, things we can maybe grasp a bit better.
Yeah, it's tough otherwise.
So just to kick things off, think about this. 200 million euros. That's enough for like 650 fancy sports cars.
Wow.
Or maybe 20 high-end private jets.
Okay, yeah. That starts to paint a picture, doesn't it? A very, very expensive picture.
So where do we go from jets? Maybe something a bit more grounded, like government budgets. Here in Portugal, perhaps.
Right, and this is where it gets really quite striking.
How so? How does Ronaldo's annual paycheck stack up against, say, running a whole city?
Well, take Braga, a major Portuguese city. His contract, it's basically equal to their entire annual municipal budget.
Equal. One person's income funds the whole city for a year.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All the services, roads, admin, everything. And, it makes budgets for places like Coimbra or Funchal look small in comparison. He earns more than their entire city budgets.
That's incredible.
And even for a bigger city like Porto, with its 400 million euro budget, well, his contract is half of that.
Half of Porto's budget.
Yeah.
Just from one contract. Is this kind of scale just a Portuguese thing, or does it hold up internationally?
Oh, it holds up. That 200 million euros, it's actually comparable to the city budgets of places like Brno in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Or even Buffalo, New York in the U.S. It's a bit less than Buffalo's, maybe around 220 million for them, but it's in the same ballpark.
So it's a global level of financial power for one individual.
Definitely. It kind of blurs the lines between personal wealth and public funds in a way.
All right, let's shift gears. From cities to the corporate world. How does 200 million euros look next to company profits?
Yeah, another fascinating comparison. If you take Gono Martins, the big Portuguese retailer, his salary is over 26% of their annual profit. More than a quarter.
Yeah. Right.
And then look at, say, Spotify. We all know Spotify. His contract is nearly 40% of their yearly operating profit.
40%? That's significant.
Hugely significant. But then context matters, right? You compare it to a global giant like AstraZeneca, the pharmaceutical company.
Right.
And suddenly 200 million euros is, well, it's a much smaller piece of the pie, about 3.6% of their profit. Still a lot of money, but it shows the different scales we're dealing with.
Okay, so it depends on the pond. What about his own pond? Football.
Yeah.
Surely within football itself, this number must be huge.
Oh, absolutely. It sort of redefines the scale even within the sport. Take SL Benfica, one of Portugal's biggest clubs.
Yeah.
His contract represents 80% of their entire annual revenue.
80%. So
Yeah.
almost everything the club makes in a year goes to, would go to his salary, hypothetically.
That's the scale, yeah. And what's even wilder, it's actually more than the total annual revenues of other massive Portuguese clubs like FC Porto or Sporting CP.
He earns more than the entire club brings in.
Correct. More than Porto's 160M, more than Sporting's 140M. It's also more than a club like Ajax in the Netherlands makes.
Ajax, too.
And about half of what Juventus, his former club, brings in. So, yeah, he's completely changed the financial conversation in football.
Okay, that's staggering. Let's try and bring it down to, a more personal level for you listening. What does this actually mean compared to everyday life, everyday work?
Right. This is maybe the most sobering comparison. If you take the Portuguese national minimum wage, to earn what Ronaldo gets in 1 year, someone on minimum wage would have to work for, think this, 17,421 years.
17,000 years.
Yeah, and even if you take the average Portuguese wage, which is higher, it's still almost 9,500 years of work.
9,500 years. It's almost impossible to comprehend that kind of time frame.
It really is. It just highlights the sheer magnitude, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Okay, let's pivot to something you mentioned, this idea of social opportunity cost. What could that 200 million euros do if it wasn't a salary, but was invested in, say, public services in Portugal?
Exactly. This is where the number really hits home in terms of potential impact. Take education. That 200 euro, it could cover 80% of the entire annual budget for the FCT, which funds science and research grants in Portugal.
80% of national research funding.
Or you could build about 40 new primary schools. Or pay the annual salary for, 6,667 university professors.
Okay, that's huge in education. What about health?
In health, you could fund 100 brand new, fully equipped intensive care units. ICUs.
100 ICUs across the country.
Spread across the country, yes. Or it could pay off over 13% of the entire public health services debt to its suppliers. A significant chunk.
And culture. Or housing.
Culture. It could literally fund the entire Ministry of Culture's budget for 2024, or finance around 200 Portuguese films.
The whole ministry.
And housing, a big issue right now. That money could build about 571 new two-bedroom apartments just in Lisbon, helping with social housing.
So the trade-offs, the potential alternative uses, they're massive.
Immense.
This deep dive, it really hasn't just been about a big number, has it? It's been about understanding its sheer, almost unbelievable weight in different parts of our world.
Absolutely. It kind of forces you to think about how concentrated financial power can become. You know, one person's earnings, dwarfing city budgets, company profits, even critical national investments.
It really does. So, thinking about all this, what does it suggest to you about our global economy, what we value, maybe our priorities as a society, when one person can command sums equivalent to funding entire public sectors? What really stands out to you from all these comparisons we've just walked through? Something to really chew on.